Envisioned Broadcasting, the station designed to encourage, equip, and empower you for growth and success. An affiliate of Direct Impact Broadcasting and Creative Broadcasting, presenting the EmPower Hour with Jaresha, a show that shares the stories behind the journeys of leaders, influencers, and motivators. The EmPower Hour with Jaresha begins now.
Welcome to EmPower Hour with Jaresha. I am your host, Jaresha Moore. A little bit about myself. I am a best-selling author with over 18 years of combined experience in education, finance, healthcare, business management, and development. Owner and founder of EmPower on Purpose, LLC, where we provide leadership training and personal professional coaching and consulting services. Certified coach, speaker, and trainer with the John Maxwell team, and owner of Envisioned Broadcasting radio station. Well, I am so excited this evening to announce an upcoming, or I shouldn't say upcoming because it's truthfully already started. It is an amazing book collaboration. So there are so many amazing people out there listening who follow the show and love hearing the stories and journeys of the guests that I've had an honor and a pleasure of having on the show. Honestly, I will tell you that I've had so many amazing people on the show that have shared their tips, nuggets, wisdom, insights, and I truly have had so many people actually say that they're so excited each show just to hear some of the wonderful tips, nuggets, and insights as well. So I'm happy to announce a book collaboration opportunity project. This is an amazing, and I can't stress it enough, an amazing opportunity to share not just your story and journey, but help empower others for growth and success. The collaboration is called Empowering Success, Secrets to Achieve the Life You Want. And let me tell y'all, we are going to bring some great wisdom, secrets, and stories behind some amazing leaders, motivators, and influencers' journeys. And we are taking off on a journey that's going to inspire, equip, encourage, and empower others for growth and success. I'm so excited about this project, and I truly know that someone is waiting to hear your story. The whole world, as a matter of fact, is waiting to hear from some amazing leaders, influencers, and motivators. For details on how you can be a part of this exciting and amazing book collaboration project, please email info@empoweronpurpose.com. So today's empowerment quote is, "It is confidence in our bodies, minds, and spirits that allows us to keep looking for new adventures," by Oprah Winfrey. This is really, really, really good. You guys know I absolutely love quotes. I truly believe that confidence is the key to new opportunities. And I believe Oprah couldn't have said it better. Our bodies, minds, and spirits, that is our complete makeup. It takes confidence in all of the above to get out and look for new adventures. And oftentimes, this is after we have failed, been dragged through the mud, been broken, discouraged, and doubtful. But we have to have confidence. We have to have that confidence that keeps us pushing forward. Here's what I'll tell you. You cannot achieve anything in this world without confidence. And we are all created for greatness. What that means is that you can't hide in the shadow of fear. The fear of being laughed at, the fear of being rejected or insulted. I challenge each of you today to decide that you can achieve any and all things. You just have to come out of your comfort zone and keep pushing forward. You have to learn to say yes. Yes, I can. I am confident in who I am and what I can do. I am confident in my body, mind, and spirit. And I will continue to pursue opportunities because I am created for greatness. Without further delay, my special guest today is Anissa Hudak. Anissa says if she had to use words to describe her, she would say yogini, foodie, tea drinker, Yankee fan, black extraordinaire, mom of two teenage boys and an angel, and rape survivor. Anissa states that her life has been intertwined with PTSD, trauma in the military. Not only is she the daughter of a Vietnam veteran, she was also married to an active duty member for over 20 years. For 3 years, Anissa volunteered at the Warrior Transition Battalion at Fort Riley, Kansas, providing yoga therapy, meditation, and other holistic treatments to the soldiers, family members, and staff. After seeing others struggle and having her personal struggles with trauma and PTSD, she was inspired to create the Trauma Healing Yoga Therapy Program. As a yoga therapist and the founder of the Trauma Healing Yoga Therapy Program, Anissa guides others in the use of effective science-based yoga therapy and for the management and healing of symptoms relating to PTSD and trauma for people who want to control their PTSD and not allow it to control them. She has earned her 200 RYT, 500 RYT, and was awarded the certification in yoga therapy from the International Association of Yoga Therapy. Additionally, Anissa has completed a 120-hour Yoga Fit Warriors training in the MBSR, Mindfulness-Based Stress Reduction, online course through the Center for Mindfulness in Medicine, Healthcare and Society at the University of Massachusetts Medical School. Currently a student with the Phoenix Rising School of Yoga Therapy, Anissa is learning another approach to utilizing yoga to help release trauma from the body. She works with people with all types of physical conditions, but she specializes in working with those suffering from PTSD, TBIs, and all trauma-related issues, and has been for over the past 5 years. The work Anissa does with women who have been sexually traumatized, rape, sexual assault, or abuse is the most important to her. As a 2 times rape survivor, she intimately understands the needs those women face and help them navigate their healing journeys. Healing from PTSD takes more than therapy, takes more than talk therapy and meds. Since PTSD starts in the body, we must release it from the body to achieve a more complete healing. This is where the yoga therapy comes in. Anissa is all about education, empowerment, and advocating for oneself. When she became educated about PTSD and learned why she emotionally reacted certain ways and why her body physically reacted in certain ways, she then had the choice. She didn't have to react. She didn't have to react those ways if it wasn't serving her, and usually it wasn't. That choice, being able to decide how she wanted to or not react to certain situations, was very empowering. With education and empowerment to back her, she was then able to advocate for herself to give her needs better served and help heal from experiences in PTSD. Anissa says, I'm not cured. I don't think anyone can really say this in this situation, but I have more control and better management of my PTSD. This healing journey is a lifelong marathon. 1 in 4 women are a survivor of some type of negative sexual abuse. Anissa shared that her mission is to educate women so they too will feel empowered to advocate for themselves. Welcome, Anissa. I'm so happy and excited to have you on the show. You're absolutely amazing. How are you this evening?
I am good. Thank you so much for having me on.
Absolutely. So I just shared, some of your amazing bio. Is there anything else that you may want to share about yourself and what you do?
Well, I was sitting here listening to it, and I was like, boy, who is that person? Sounds really neat. What else could I offer? Well, I'm originally from the New York, New Jersey area, and so I can sometimes kind of come off with, my New York, New Jersey attitude. I, grew up in a town that was about an hour out of Manhattan, New York, and I now live in a very small town called Manhattan, Kansas.
Wow.
And so if I had $1 for every time I heard, "Oh, you left the Big Apple for the Little Apple," yeah, I wouldn't be doing this right now. I live where K-State, Kansas State University is, but truly, I live in a town where the livestock outnumber the people.
Wow. How exciting
We are right
is
outside
that?
of Fort Riley, so we have a lot of, soldiers coming in and out. Some of them are still coming on deployments, coming in and off of deployments. Like I said, we have K-State here, and then we have just regular old civilians. So it's kind of a mishmash. We have a lot of ranchers and things like that. I have 2 teenage boys. They are both driving, which is, I think, almost more scarier than PTSD.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Absolutely.
It's horrifying. Horrifying. And that's kind of me in a nutshell. That's kind of what I do.
Absolutely. So I just have to say this because I have 2 teenagers, and one is 14 and one is 13, and so I am definitely going to be at that point where 2 of them, both of them are going to be driving. So yeah, I definitely understand, just the whole fear of, oh my gosh, just seeing both of them out on the road. But, I shared, of course, how you have been intertwined with PTSD trauma in the military. Your family was, in the military as well. Is this something that you feel placed you on your journey for the interest you have in your business now? Is that what you truly made you feel like you wanted to create the trauma healing, yoga therapy program?
I think the universe has a really interesting sense of humor. And I think that we all wind up finding our path, one way or another. And my dad was a Vietnam vet. He spent a year in Vietnam. He was a helicopter mechanic. And so he had a tool bag and a gun. And when he came back, he suffered with PTSD. And unfortunately, that played into his alcoholism. And so growing up, it wasn't a terrible childhood by any stretch of the imagination, but there was always this undercurrent of chaos. And we didn't know at the time what PTSD was. And, those guys, when they came back, they were not given a hero's welcome at all. And so he never got services, or any kind of help. And so finally, I would have to say about 5 years ago, he finally went to the VA, started getting some therapy, started getting some services. He's got disability now. And they are totally saying, oh, yeah, your alcoholism played, your PTSD played a big part in that. They're giving him disability because of it. And he's getting the help that he so desperately needed all those years. And he's in such a better place. And it's really wonderful to see him smile and laugh a little easier. And, at some point here, unfortunately, sooner rather than later, he will transition and pass away, because we don't all live forever. And so I'm just really blessed to know that when he leaves this plane, he's going to go and without that baggage.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
He has left that baggage behind. He doesn't have to take it with him, and he can go with a clear heart and a clear conscience. And it's a beautiful thing. He actually was able, growing up, we were never allowed to say the word Vietnam. It was like a dirty word in our house. And recently he sat down with me and talked about his experiences there, and I was blown away. And I couldn't believe he was sitting there talking to me about them. But I also couldn't believe what he had endured. And I was like, well, dear God, no wonder you drank. I would have drank. Of course. So I'm really excited to see, his healing. I was also married to an active duty member. And we got to see, not only his own journeys with what he had to endure, but others around us. With all of the deployments that have been happening now for, almost 20 years. So, that really showed me a lot. And then, of course, my own struggles with being raped twice, losing a child. There's we
Yes.
and we all need to work on ourselves. Quite frankly, we're all works in progress, also. And it's because I saw all of these people around me struggling, and the struggles that I was going through. It really helped me kind of form this whole therapy program that I've created.
Absolutely. And before we dive right into, what you do at Trauma Healing Yoga Therapy, I know that you mentioned that, healing from PTSD takes more than talk, therapy, and meds. And I completely agree with that. What are some other ways that, those that are listening maybe can get help for, the PTSD, maybe for themselves or maybe for a family member they know that may be going through PTSD?
I am a huge believer in talk therapy and meds. Please don't misunderstand me. I am on medication myself. I will probably be on medication for the rest of my life. That's totally okay. I currently have a therapist, and I fully believe that these things are wonderful things, but they're not the only things. Trauma gets trapped in the body on a very cellular level. And so we can talk it till we're blue in the face, but it's not going to release it from the body. We have to move the body in a certain way in order to release that baggage. And not a lot of people realize that. PTSD, we always think of PTSD as the manifestations of, mental health issues, depression, anxiety, suicidal, hypervigilance. But actually, before any of that happens, something occurs in the body that actually creates the PTSD. And that catalyst is what we have to reverse, and we can do that very effectively with yoga therapy. Additionally, massage. Some people like dance therapy. Some people like music therapy, art therapy. There are so many different types of ways that you can really heal. And it could be a combination of things. And what I always tell my clients is to get a book. And when you try something, write it down, write the date, the time, who it was with, what you were doing, how it made you feel. And if it wasn't, quite frankly, for you, that's okay. Try it again in 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, 24 months, because at those points, you're a different person. And you're at a different place in your healing journey. And so just because it didn't work for you yesterday doesn't mean it's not going to work for you 6 months, 12 months, 24 months from now. Keep trying. Try it with different people. Try it with different instructors. Try whatever you need to do. Just keep trying.
Absolutely. And I know, so you mentioned, some of the, situations and circumstances that you actually had to overcome. How did you, really handle, some of those situations, and, how did you deal with it? Did you utilize yoga to help with this and help you get the strength and courage that you needed?
Well, my first rape was about 28 years ago. And I did the whole talk therapy route. And for the last 28 years, I've talked it to death. I would have to say in 2014, I found myself in a yoga teacher training class, and it was for PTSD. And when I understood the education behind it all, then I was like, well, why wouldn't I get on a mat? And it was that relationship with my mat. I credit my mat with saving my life. I learned so much about myself on my mat, and it really helped to heal me from that experience. Unfortunately, I was raped again about 4 years ago. And I just have started, just in the last 2 months, I've started working with my therapist on unpacking that whole situation. And right now, I have a very complicated relationship with my mat. There are some days when I can get on it and I can feel free. There are some days I crawl up on it in the fetal position and cry. There are some days I just sit there. The beautiful thing about my mat is that I can tell it anything, and it doesn't judge me, and it doesn't go anywhere. My greatest confidant. But I get to say it, and I get it out. And sometimes that's all you really need to do, is say it out loud. And so right now, like I said, my mat and I are we have a complicated relationship right now.
That's awesome, though. So with that being said, could you talk a little bit more about what you do at Trauma Healing Yoga Therapy?
Well, so I've learned several methods. I generally stick to one in my class. My classes are very, very small, no more than generally 10 people, unless I have someone assisting me. And that's because everybody comes in with different stuff. And if someone is triggered on their mat, I want to be able to keep everyone safe in the room and be able to really, work with them to get them to a place where they don't feel, triggered or vulnerable. We follow a very scientific pattern of warming up certain muscle groups. Now, in my class, you're going to get a full body workout, but it's not going to be your typical fitness-based yoga class. You will get a full body workout, though. We do focus in on certain muscle groups, and these are the muscle groups that actually really trap and hold on to that emotional baggage and that trauma. We want to work them out. We want to get them really warmed up. They're very deep muscles, so we've got to get into them really deep. And by allowing them to actually work to exhaustion, they're able to then release what they're carrying. Most people don't even realize it's happening. Other than that, the lights always remain on in my class. I talk the entire hour. It is like the Anissa stand-up routine. I am constantly talking because I'm not a talk therapist. I'm not a certified social worker or anything like that. And so my job is to release the trauma from your body. Now I can sit and listen. Hello?
I'm here. Yes. You were saying that you can. Oh, it's okay. You were saying that you can sit and listen.
I can listen to people, but I'm not going to give them any advice. That's not my job. My job is to work your body to where you're releasing the trauma from it. And so I try to keep everyone's brain occupied. I never want to leave them to their own thoughts, because when we are left to our own thoughts, we usually go to that very dark place. And so I have a very interactive class. What are you guys doing this weekend? What did you do last weekend? We talk a lot about food. And things, we talk about things that are happening, what's in the news or whatever. We talk about all kinds of stuff. I usually talk about my boys a lot, and all of the crazy stuff that they seem to do. And that way they're never alone with their thoughts. As I said, the lights always remain on. I never leave my mat. I generally do not adjust people. And if I do leave my mat, I announce, I'm going here, this is what I'm doing. That way people aren't like, ooh, where is she going? Is she behind me? Where is she? Because, that puts them, in that hypervigilant state. And that's what I'm not sure. I don't want them to be there. And so that's kind of what my classes are like. When we go into final relaxation, generally everyone lays on their back with their palms facing up. And in my class, no, there's no rules. You can lay on your stomach, you can lay on your side, there's pillows, there's blankets, you get all cozy, and I read to you. Again, you're never alone with your thoughts. I have a book of yoga poems, or I read about emotions and essential oils and things like that. And so that's kind of what my classes are like. There's a lot of psychology behind what I do,
Mm-hmm.
and but it's also moving the body.
Absolutely. What kind of, maybe success stories that you could share with us, where, since you started your trauma healing, yoga?
Well, I have to say that I've had the great honor of working with military folks
Mm-hmm.
in the Warrior Transition Battalion, and those soldiers are men and women who have something, usually physically or mentally wrong. That could be cancer. It could be that they have a heart attack. They could have had a stroke. I've worked with amputees, people with, wheelchairs, crutches, braces, and then, of course, the invisible wounds that we don't see, the TBIs and the PTSD. And I love it when these big, burly soldiers would come in, and they're like, "Ooh, we're going to do some little girl yoga, and then we're going to take a nap. And we're going to do a little stretching." And then we get into the class, and an hour later they say, "Ma'am, I wasn't expecting this. I feel really good." "Oh, do you now? Really?" "Yes, ma'am. I'll see you next week."
Don't you love it? Oh my gosh.
It like happened every time, and I would just laugh. And then all of a sudden, I would see them the next week, and then they start bringing their buddies with them, and their buddies would be like, "Dude, what are we doing here?" And then afterwards, they're like, "Wow, that was really intense. Like, oh, you guys kill me." So I absolutely loved that. I saw it time and time again, and I made a lot of people into believers who you would never have thought in a million years that they would have ever gotten on a mat. And then working with women who are like me is so incredibly special because you get to watch this woman and you get to watch her journey, and it unfolds an hour at a time on the mat, and you can see her progress, and it's such a beautiful thing to watch. And I play a small part in it. I mean, really, truly, this woman's doing the work, and it's better than any money anybody could ever give me. Just to be able to watch this woman really blossom, it's just beautiful.
Absolutely. And I have to tell you that my first time actually going to to yoga, and one of my friends was like, "Oh, you have to go, you have to go." And I was dragging my feet on it because I was like, well, it's going to be, I'm very much into whole high, aerobics and all of that. And so cardio. And so she was like, you have to come, you have to come. And so, I was dragging my feet on it because I'm like, well, I think it's going to be like a lot of stretching. I totally had this idea of what it was going to be like. And when I went, it was amazing. So I was similar to, some of the guys that you mentioned. I was like, wow, this was awesome because of the fact that, it's like you don't know what you don't know. And so I initially, I had no idea that I was going to have the experience that I did. So, I had to share that hands down. Absolutely, absolutely love it. Absolutely love yoga. Now, there is something, and correct me if I'm wrong, that's Reiki master. Is there a such thing as a Reiki? Okay, Reiki master. Could you share with the listeners, a little bit more about what that is and what that truly has to do with yoga?
Well, it actually doesn't have to do anything with yoga. It does kind of help me a little bit in my classes, but it doesn't really have anything to do with yoga. Reiki is a Japanese healing touch therapy. And it is a beautiful, yummy, massage-like modality that you can tap into. It is another way of healing. And it's similar to a massage, except you're gonna lie on a bed or a mat or wherever you are, and you're gonna keep your clothes on. And it's really about creating this very sacred space for your body to do its self healing. It's very close to meditation. Some people fall asleep on your table, and that's totally cool. They're self healing in their own way. Some people talk the whole time. And, whatever they want to do, it's up to them. It's their hour. Like a massage, it's very detoxing. You have to drink lots of water afterwards. You might get a really good night's sleep afterwards. But it is this beautiful, yummy experience. And if you've never had a Reiki session, you should go get one because it's just amazing.
Yes, I am going to definitely look into it because it sounds like it's amazing. So absolutely, it sounds amazing. Sounds like something I definitely need to look into.
Very calming, very peaceful.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of looked into it during my husband's second deployment. My son was having a very hard time with the deployment. He had a very nervous stomach. And I found a Reiki master. She was in Kansas City, which is about 2 hours away. I told her the situation. She said, you need to come and check it out. So I went, because I wasn't going to let anybody, touch my kid, because I was like, I don't know who you are, So I'm going to go, and I'm going to be the guinea pig. And I had the most amazing experience. As soon as she placed her hands on my head, I felt like there was water rushing down my legs. And I thought my legs were actually going to get off the table and walk away without me.
Wow.
It was such an amazing experience. And she actually had me on the table for about an hour and a half. And when I got up, I looked at her and I said, okay, I need to learn how to do this because my son needs this. And that's what I did. And that is how we were able to maintain it and control his nervous stomach for years.
Wow. Yeah, absolutely. I definitely have to look into that. Absolutely. So, kind of switching gears just a little bit, what would you say has been the biggest accomplishment for you up to this point?
I think touching back, going back to those big burly soldiers, and making believers out of them. I think working with the women on the mat in this very special way, that's probably been my biggest accomplishment. Watching people really make amazing progress on the mat. And knowing that I have a very small part in it, but just being able to sit there and watch it and knowing that I was able to help someone in such a profound way. I mean, it's the most amazing thing.
So on the flip side of that, then what would you say has been the biggest challenge that you have faced so far?
There is an incredible lack of education surrounding PTSD. And as I touched on earlier about how it starts in the body before it manifests as a mental health issue, that information people don't get. People don't understand it. People are not educated in that. And so when they think, oh, I've got PTSD, I need to do something about my depression, you're only treating the symptoms. You're not treating with actually creating the whole situation. And there are a lot of medical professionals who don't want to hear it. They just want to prescribe you a drug and tell you to go see a therapist. That's great, and that's a great place to start, but that's not the end all. And I think the medical establishment is really scared. I think they're scared of other alternative things that you can do because it doesn't come from, Western medicine.
Absolutely. So with that being said, are there any, maybe any kind of upcoming events or resources that you could, potentially share with the listeners that could help them?
Well, Here in the spring, I am going to be launching a membership for women only who have had a negative sexual experience. It's going to include recorded yoga therapy sessions. There will be live yoga therapy sessions that you can do with me, a couple times a month. We're going to have interactive calls. There's all kinds of education that's going to be in it. I've been working months and months and months on it. I'm so super excited to be able to launch this. Women will get a chance to have a one-on-one talking session with me. We'll make sure that it's a good fit for them to enter, and then it's a monthly membership. And so I'm super excited. The recorded sessions are really good because, at 3 a.m. when you wake up and your mind is spinning and you can't sleep, you might want to tap into a class. And, to have it recorded, you're not going to skip down to your local, yoga studio because they're not going to be open at 3 a.m.
Absolutely.
And healing is on your schedule, not on anybody else's timetable. So this has to be made available for you whenever you need it. I really thought about the things that I would have liked when I was really in the thick of it, and right now I'm in the thick of it again, and I'm taking copious notes because again I want to tweak things so that way it really gets to everybody's needs and serves everyone's needs. There's no timetable for this, and so making things available for women around the clock, I think is important, especially, for those of us who are the moms, we have to kind of sneak things into the nooks and crannies sometimes. And this gives them the chance to do that in their own timetable.
Absolutely. That's really good. I love that. I love the fact that you also said that healing is on your schedule. That's really good. I think that's really powerful. So what is one thing that you truly wish you had have known when you started your business?
One thing that I would have liked to have known when I started what? I'm sorry?
Started your business.
How the medical establishment would be so resistant. After I got the education, I was like, well, why isn't everybody doing this? Like, I don't understand. This is a no-brainer. And to have people look at me like, you do yoga? Why would you do that for that? Seriously? Like, why wouldn't you? So the resistance and the medical establishment really looking down their nose at it.
Wow. So today the empowerment quote was, "It is confidence in our bodies, minds, and spirits that allows us to keep looking for new adventures." Can you share what this quote means to you?
Oh, absolutely. This is so apropos. PTSD really erodes so much of our confidence, not only in our bodies, because maybe our bodies didn't fight back. Maybe it didn't keep us safe. Maybe it didn't work the way we needed it to work in that very moment. Our minds, why do we feel like we're going crazy? And our spirit, because we feel so empty and numb because of the PTSD. And it really does hold us back from living the life that we're truly entitled to have. And so once we can get a handle on that PTSD and the trauma, and we can look at it from a rearview mirror, then we can finally, once again, go out and have the confidence and find those new adventures.
That's so good. It's good. Yes. So one of the things that I have, pretty much said for this year, that this is definitely the year for growth and success. Can you share with the listeners what is one of your biggest goals for the year?
Well, let me ask, do you mean personally or professionally?
Actually, whichever one you want to share, whether it's personal or professional.
Well, for personal, my big goal is to establish firm boundaries. I feel that women who are like me, who have had, negative sexual trauma, our boundaries somehow just fade away. And in a lot of respects, I find like I almost am a welcome mat. People are walking all over me. And I was never like that. And so for me personally, boundaries is my big goal for the year, establishing, creating them, and keeping them. For me, from a professional standpoint, I am, getting ready to launch this wonderful membership. I can't wait to do that. I, want to actually talk from some stages this year. Mm-hmm. And get out and be with people and really make a difference that way. And so those are my goals for the business.
Absolutely. Awesome. So what would you say is the best advice you have ever received, and who gave it to you?
The best advice I ever received was to take the time you need to really deal with whatever it is you're dealing with. So, for instance, with PTSD and trauma, take the time you need to heal. Do it once. Do it good. Do it well. You don't want to have to revisit it.
Uh-huh.
And a lot of my yoga teacher trainers gave me that advice. Take the time that you need. Take yourself out of, active practice if you have to. Stop teaching if you have to. Put yourself in a timeout. Mm-hmm. And focus on you, because you can't pour from an empty cup.
Absolutely. That's so good. That's so good and so powerful, because, as you mentioned, often we don't even take the time for ourselves, especially as, moms. And, we just don't take that time for ourselves. And though, if you think about those that have, truly need to heal from, some kind of situation, circumstance, whatever may have occurred within our lives, we don't take that time. We don't take that time, to heal, to process, to forgive ourselves, just to really just sit down and have that moment, have that time with ourselves in whatever that situation or circumstance was. That's so good, and it's so powerful, because as you mentioned, we can't pour from an empty cup, although we always try to. We can't. This is something that we, yes, we do. We definitely do, and I'll tell you, I'm guilty. I've definitely tried to pour from an empty cup several times, and realized that no, you have to bring it back some, reel it completely back, and take that time for yourself. It's so important. It's so important for healthy relationships. It's important for a healthy body, a healthy mind. It's extremely, extremely important. So what is one piece of advice? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Anissa.
No, go ahead. You were saying one piece of advice.
One piece of advice that you would give our listeners on how they can empower their own growth and success journey.
As I said before, get yourself a book.
Mm-hmm.
And as you try something, write it down, write as much notes as you can about it. And if it wasn't for you, that's totally cool. Revisit it. Try it again. Try it with someone else. Try something different. But try it again. Keep trying. Your healing journey is not a one-size-fits-all kind of a thing. And your trauma is not one-size-fits-all. Your trauma is so individual. Your healing process has to be individual. And so what works for me may not necessarily work for you, and vice versa. And that's okay. There is no prescription. You have to do this, you have to do this, and then you do this. It doesn't work like that. It's all individual to you. So keep this ledger, figure out what you've tried, try it again, try it differently, but keep trying. And then realize that, maybe something's working for you for 6 months, and then afterwards you're like, it's not working for me anymore. Well, guess what? You're in a different place, and you're a different person. So of course it may not work for you now, and that's okay. It served its purpose. Move on to the next thing that's going to, help you in your healing journey. But keep trying. Giving up is never an option.
Absolutely. I love it. That is great, great advice for the listeners. So I know that you shared that you definitely are excited about an upcoming launch for your membership group for women. Is there anything else that you would like to share as far as what's coming up on the horizon for you? Any big plans for the near future for your business?
Pretty much the launch is the biggest thing that's coming up. I'm in negotiations right now to appear on some stages. That'll be later in the year. I have a son who's graduating high school this May, so like I need to get past that before I can see anything else.
Oh my gosh, yes.
So I have a couple things happening possibly over the summer, and then I have to get him to college, which I don't know how I'm going to deal with that. So then I have some other things kind of, in the fall after I get him settled there, and maybe I've recovered from that.
Uh-huh. Absolutely. So I have a son that's in college, and it is definitely a real recovery. It's, getting through the graduation and all of that, and then, you have a little bit of time before it's time to take, him to college. And then it's like, oh my gosh, I have to leave him here. So, yes, it is definitely, it's a lot. And I will tell you that, I cried the whole way home. I had friends that told me, oh, it'll get better, and it did. It definitely did. But it was very tough, because that's your baby, that's your baby.
It is. So it's your baby. And I get it. I mean, there are some days when I'm like, oh my gosh, can I please pack you? Can you leave now? And then there's some days like, I don't know how I'm going to live without you being here. So I'm just trying to be really gentle with myself this year. And, the membership is the big thing. I want to be able to help as many women within that membership as I can. And then, like I said, I've got some possible stages coming up. But I'm really trying to be very gentle with myself this year because I'm going through a big change.
Yes, absolutely, yes. And I would definitely say be gentle. Yes, I would definitely encourage that. Having gone through it, in the past, you want to definitely be gentle with yourself. But I truly want to just say that I'm so thankful and grateful to have you on the show today for you to share your amazing story and journey. Could you please take the time now and share with the listeners on how they could stay connected with you and support your efforts?
Absolutely. You can find me at www.traumahealingyoga.com. I am on Facebook. I am on Twitter. I am on Instagram. I'm on Pinterest. I'm like a bad penny. I just keep showing up. You can find me pretty much everywhere at traumahealingyoga.com or Trauma Healing Yoga. On Facebook, I have 2 groups. They are private groups. And one is for men and women who have generalized PTSD. I have a lot of military members in there. And then I have a separate group just for women who have had negative sexual experiences. And so if you would like to join me in one of those groups, actually it's a website. It has direct links. It'll take you right to those groups. There are questions in the beginning. I ask that you please answer the questions. They're very important. I screen all of the applicants and to make sure that I've had a lot of men try to get into the ladies group. And what we find is that they're trying to, they're predators, and they're trying to look on how they can groom their next prey.
Wow.
It's pretty scary stuff. Yeah, it really is. And so that's why answering the questions are so very important. I asked them pretty, what was the trauma, that got you to this place? You don't have to write me a book. I don't need to know everything that happened. But just a brief summary is what I need. We check everybody's profile and things like that. It's pretty thorough because we really have to maintain, that security as best we can for women.
Absolutely, absolutely. Again, I just want to say thank you so much. It's truly been an honor and a pleasure to have you as a guest on the show.
I love being here. Thank you so much. It's been wonderful chatting with you.
Absolutely. We've had a great time. Especially talking about our kids. Absolutely. Had a really great time. So I just want to wish you much success and blessings as you continue on your journey.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So listeners, thank you for tuning in to tonight's show with our special guest, Anissa Hudak. Anissa shared her amazing story and journey to encourage, equip, and empower you for growth and success. If you are interested in being a guest on the show, starting your own radio show, or low-cost advertising highlighting your book, business, or event, please email Envisioned, that's EnvisionedB, at EmPowerOnPurpose.com. Please tune in next week where you will hear an amazing story and journey from another leader, motivator, and influencer. Until next time, be blessed.
Thank you for listening to the EmPower Hour with Jaresha, where Jaresha speaks with leaders, influencers, and motivators who share their journeys in personal and professional growth, empowerment tips, lessons learned, and keys of success that will empower you to be your best self. Follow Jaresha on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Jaresha Moore, and visit EmPowerOnPurpose.com. And remember to be intentional and be empowered, and have a great day on purpose.